myself and other creators fall into the pattern of just making content to make content sometimes. And I think that's okay at times, but it just got to a point where I was just like, all right, it's time to just take the foot off the gas for a little bit.
Yeah.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 10 of the Going Dark podcast. And Chop, when we reached episode 10, we told the people what we were going to do. We were going to bring some guests on. So you're staring at the man in the middle here, Mr. Dysmo.
You know what they say about episode 10 of podcast, and you know what? We're very honored to have Dysmo on. We appreciate you coming on today and being our first guest ever on this podcast. I think people are going to be very stoked to hear from you. So thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I'll start us right off. And the question is, where did the name Dysmo come from?
So it was in high school, and I forgot what book we were reading, but I saw the word dysmorphic, and I just thought it sounded cool. And at the time, I was really heavy into World of Warcraft, and I was trying to find a name nobody had, so I typed it in, but with an X instead of a C, and not a single person had the name, and so I ran with that, started my channel, then eventually that just became my username, started my channel, and then as time went on, dysmorphics was getting I was noticing people having trouble pronounce it. And so I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna make it cleaner, just cut it out the mo. And that's how I got Dysmo.
Do you have this problem where when people ask you how you got your YouTube name, do you have to explain the lore every single time?
Yep.
I get this a lot.
Yep. Yeah, it's every single time I explain it, because either I give the long spiel like I just did, or it's like I took the word dysmorphic and I cut it in half.
That you got to have the abridged version. No, I totally get that. It was kind of same with me. I get that a lot too, and I get having two different stories depending on how much the other person is going to pay attention to it. But
yeah,
no, that's very interesting. I hadn't been familiar with where you got your name from as much. One of the things that I think people are very curious about right now is what have you been up to recently? What's life been like for you recently?
So obviously, I haven't been uploading for, I think now it's been, let me check. I think it's been 3 months. Yeah, it's been 3 months. Just been working on, obviously, a project that I'm getting ready to post. And just taking a step back from content creation. Wasn't really feeling the type of content I was making on Modern Warfare 3 was the type of content I wanted to make. And I feel like myself and other creators fall into the pattern of just making content to make content sometimes. And I think that's okay at times, but it just got to a point where I was just like, all right, it's time to just take the foot off the gas for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it was a sense of creative unfulfillment with what you're making. Did it become too easy in a way, where you were sort of copy pasting the same formula onto everything you were doing, and you're just okay, kind of phoning it in, and it was just not challenging at that point?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely has a factor with obviously the current state of Call of Duty, and we can get into that later. But I definitely found myself using the same edits, using the same music, using the same intro style, and repeating videos that I had done in previous years, but just on the newer game. And it just hit I wouldn't even call it necessarily a creative burnout, because I still had the passion to make videos, just not these videos as of right now. And hopefully with the next Treyarch game, I'm planning on going back to my original style of videos on top of still, if people enjoy this style that I'm working on right now, doing those as well.
I think everybody gets in the same boat with burnout, even from I don't probably a little bit of my stuff, but shorts. Yeah. Sometimes I get the burnout on shorts and I want to do long form, and then I don't know. I have a question on here of YouTube now versus probably when you first got into it. I feel like there's a drastic change that's happened, and I don't know if this is just because Chopper, you've been around for a while too. Sometimes I feel like people are making content solely for the algorithm, and they're not making content because it's this is what I want to do. This is fun.
Yeah, no, I fully agree that because I see people talking about instead of being I don't know, I definitely feel like people take videos and they just like, what's going to get the most views? Like, what's going to do the best? And obviously, as creators, we all want our videos to be watched and seen by everybody. But I feel like the heavy emphasis on that, like, you can see it throughout YouTube. Like, I just feel like back in the day, so like even myself, I'm guilty of doing it now with Call of Duty and just content. But like back in the day, like I'd hop on, it'd be like, this was the class setup I wanted to use today. I want to go get a gameplay with this. And I had fun just playing it instead of being like, is this video going to be, is the algorithm going to like it? Is the thumbnails going to be good? Are they going to click it? Are they going to watch it? Are they going to like the video? Is it going to get recommended? Instead of just, I had fun making this video, I'm throwing it up. Because I feel like that's like the whole premise that we all start. And I definitely feel like 5 years ago, I feel like it wasn't as, I feel like definitely with how mainstream YouTube and streaming and content creation has become, it's shifted that from the whole, like everyone's just chasing the algorithm and trying to learn the algorithm.
I feel like we have this problem where, you know, as creators, I'm sure Diz, you'll understand what I mean. Like the key, and I think we can feel this as creators when we're sort of towing that line, but we need to make videos that we want to make, obviously, but things that are only interesting to us are not necessarily interesting to other people. And then you need to marry that with, you know, what people actually want to watch. And you have this kind of like, it's, you know, you need to bring these two things together. And when you can feel when you're in the middle of that, I think when you're like making your best work, you're making your best content, and you're also getting what the audience wants. But I feel like it's a very thin margin, and it's hard to always be on that. You either fall into one side where you're just catering to your audience and making what you think they want, or you go completely on the other direction. You're making like, you know, weird videos only for yourself that are like only interesting to you. You know, usually people don't fall into one of those extremes, but I can feel when I'm on that line that's like perfectly balanced, but it usually doesn't last too long, and you have to like kind of course correct again a little bit. And the game of YouTube has certainly changed, of people chasing the algorithm, which has always been a strange concept, because like I think people look at the algorithm as this like arbitrary thing, but the algorithm is simply a reflection of your audience and what they're interested in. And if you're not making videos for your audience, you're doing it to please some kind of, you know, arbitrary algorithm, I think you can end up making content without that creative soul that you initially wanted to put into it.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I guess I want to go back a little bit too. I don't know why I didn't ask you this question, but like, I have YouTube 5 years ago, but when did you make your first video? What made you like go, you know what, I'm just going to make a YouTube video? Because I feel like a lot of people that made videos, Chop, no offense, you're an older YouTuber. You're like, I'm just, you know, me personally, I got into YouTube because I was like, there's so many people that do it now. It's viable. Like I was on that back end of like, oh, you could actually make money if you work hard and study and do all this.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't even know if you were a part of this, Dysmo and Chop. You kind of just did it because you wanted to. It was fun. Like there was not money involved. It was just like, oh, I'm going to upload a video and have fun, and whatever happens, whatever happens. So like when did you start? What made you kind of like get into it?
I started with Black Ops 3, obviously. And I'd never posted a video prior to that. Aside from this actually came up on like Facebook the other day. Me and my friend made a little montage on Modern Warfare 3, like the OG one, like way back, but I don't even know we posted it on YouTube. I think we just threw it up on Facebook. I just had graduated high school, and I had no idea what I wanted to do, like as like a hobby, because I'd been playing football my entire life, so I'd always has football and video games. And I'd always wanted to stream, but my internet, I had a 0.5 upload, so I couldn't stream. I'd always I grew up watching like a lot of Soda Poppin' when he played World of Warcraft and stuff a lot. And I couldn't stream that. And so I was like, okay, World of Warcraft, not really a game I want to make videos on, but what other things am I good at? And I went back to Call of Duty, and this was in the time where I hadn't played Call of Duty. The last one I played was Modern Warfare 3. I didn't play much of Ghosts. I didn't play much Advanced Warfare or Black Ops 2.
Whoa.
And
that hurts.
So, yeah, it was like 3 years of just no Call of Duty and mainly DayZ, Counter-Strike, and World of Warcraft. And then Black Ops 3 came out on my birthday. I was like, I'm gonna play this. At first, I played the beta. If I like the beta, I'm gonna start making YouTube videos. When the game came out, fell in love with the beta, was obsessed with it. And then yeah, I just started making videos because I wanted just a hobby. I knew you could make it into a job and like a career because I had grown up watching people like on early Twitch, have a sustainable income. But I just wanted a hobby, and I was just trying to find something to fill my time because I had a whole bunch of time after getting out of high school.
When you were starting, and if you starting in BO3, that's approximately around the time like the PS3 and PS4 were coming out and stuff like that, or I guess PS4 was coming out.
Yeah.
I uploaded my first videos in BO2, and I didn't. This is another thing we can talk about, but the lack of usable hardware to make videos was a lot harder to come by than it is now. I didn't have, obviously you probably relate to this. I didn't have like any recording software or anything. So my first videos ever were uploaded using the Black Ops 2 like theater mode direct upload function. For those of you who don't know, you could actually directly upload a short clip from theater mode to YouTube. It's very odd. Wasn't very good, but it was all I had. And when BO3 came out, I started using the like built-in share function on the PS4. I don't know if that was same for you. Like, did you immediately get like recording equipment like an Elgato and all that stuff, or did you, kind of start with like the more primitive basic tools from the console you had?
So I already had a little like $600 gaming PC that I built myself. So I already had that for me, and then I had the PlayStation. I used the share factory or whatever for streaming. Whenever I did stream, I would like take my PlayStation over to my cousin's house sometimes and just kick on a stream or do something. But I was lucky enough that I had a friend who, although I don't remember correctly if he said anything, he made like a joke. He gave me his Elgato because he was making like he had the OG original one and he made videos, and then it like never really went anywhere. And he was like, "Good luck, blah blah blah." And so I got like just a free. I think it was like 1080p 30 FPS Elgato. And then I just bought like a $50 editing software like off of Steam. I didn't even like know about Sony Vegas or anything. It was just some random editing software.
You bought it off Steam?
Yeah, let me see. I
didn't know what that. I don't know.
Yeah.
What would that be? That's really interesting.
It's called Vegas Movie Studio 13 Platinum.
Are you still using that?
No, I still use Sony Vegas, but I don't use that. But yeah, no. So I had already a little bit of a gaming PC built, so I had that. And I was lucky enough that like I knew I needed like an Elgato, or I remember my friend had a Dazzle like back in the day.
Yeah,
that's how we got our footage for that little Modern Warfare 3 montage. But yeah, no. So I used that share factory. I always tell people, and I actually told my girlfriend's friend this because they were asking me like, I need to get a PC to stream. And I was like, you have a PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I was like, no, just hit the go live button through there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I definitely think that built-in stuff is super like it's if I would have been able to have like good internet and could stream just off the rip, like just being able to stream off your console and then just use your microphone is just you don't need a lot. I feel like a lot of people think you need a lot of stuff.
You need the whole like Nick Merckx setup, but you don't. I don't know if you experience this too when you would stream from the actual console, and this used to be a lot more prevalent. It doesn't really work like this now, but I would notice that streams would like almost immediately do well streaming off that because you would get like recommended to other people's PlayStations. And like people would, like, and so when only a few people were doing that, they would hover over their game and be like recommended streams. And like you would be right there on the front page. And that was kind of like the meta for a while, especially like when YouTube gaming was around. And I'm sure you probably experienced that too. So interesting because it's just not like that anymore. But but I 100% like always echo that statement when people ask me about it too. They're like, dude, I want to start YouTube, but I need to get like this and this. And I'm like, do you have a console? Do you have a microphone? That's literally all you need. At that point, it's just do you have the capacity to generate creative content? So for you, was it did you have, for me, this is definitely the case. Did you have your period of like kind of just throwing anything at the wall and seeing what happens for content? Or did you have a formula that you knew you wanted to make and it just started working? Or like, did you fumble around for a while?
I was always a pub stomper, like even like growing up. So that was I just immediately went to, I know people like tutorials. I know people like watching other people who are good because they can learn from them, because I would learn from people. And I learned that heavily when I was watching like people play DayZ and people play Counter-Strike. And so, back in the OG MW2 and Black Ops 1, I just loved going for nukes and playing S&D and stuff like that. So going in to Black Ops 3, I was like, I'm just going to put my highlights up there and show the people the class setup that I use. And I just learned as I learned from other people and networked with other people and just like learned how to make other styles.
So you kind of had your formula like from the get-go in a way.
Yeah, I basically knew that like I wanted to, like, I'm just looking at like my oldest videos right now, and my third video is me getting a nuclear on Black Ops. And then literally my second video after that is another nuclear, and then so on. So like, yeah, from the beginning, I knew I thought at the beginning people only wanted to watch people that were good, which as time has gone on, I've quickly learned, like, you could be awful at the game, but if you're funny and if you're relatable and people like it, like, they're going to watch you. Like, yeah, you can have those good moments and be like, I would say like, you can have the good moments and like have those good clips, but you don't need to be every game. Like, for example, in Warzone, you don't need to be every game dropping 25, 30, 40. I don't even know what like the standard is nowadays, but like,
gone so high. Who knows?
I almost feel like people want the opposite now. Like, I don't know if you guys watched like Sally. I'm sure you guys, Dysmo, you know who
I love Sally.
The dude gets into a game and he gets 3 kills every game. Like, he's like, hey man, here's the new meta. And he gets the meta halfway through the video. He picks it up halfway through the video, and then he gets 2 or 3 kills, loses the game, spectates the rest of it. And I'm like, then you have other people out there trying to get 60 kills in a game. And I'm like, bro, first of all, we can go over the whole thing of how you get the 60 kill lobbies, but I think people are getting smarter to that stuff. So anytime somebody sees a 60 bomb, they're like, I don't really care. Yeah. Everybody and their grandma can do that now. I want to see what Dysmo's doing, where he's making some weird gun look absolutely stupid and then using it and getting a couple kills and funny music and memes. And that's more entertaining to me than, oh, cool, you got 60. Great job, man. Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's a spot for it. I've always told somebody, I've always said that if you like a certain style of content, there's going to be other people out there like it. So I think there's a place for all of it. I definitely think for me personally, it just became more of like a stress to go for gameplays all the time.
Yeah.
And so it was like Modern Warfare 2019, where I was just like, I started out nukes all the time, but obviously with skill based and everything, it becomes harder and harder to do it. And like, that's where I was just like, I'm going to transition to this, just try to be more like, just be myself on the camera instead of worrying about dropping a nuke every single game and so on. But like, I've also never been a super big competitive person. So I can also understand though, the people that enjoy watching those super high kill games or like sweating. Cause the same reason why, like, I don't dabble super heavy into like ranked play, and I don't really care too much to watch like the CDL or like anything competitive, because it just doesn't interest me. But there's a huge amount of people out there that love just watching the sweats of the sweats all the time. So I think there's space for both of them. For me personally, I just like watching somebody that like I learned it big with me starting golf. When I watch golf and I watch like a pro player just absolutely chunk a shot, and I'm just like, okay, he's just like us. Like he messes up too. Instead of just seeing someone that's on 24/7, like, and just
this ultra polished kind of like, phony feeling sort of content. I think you're a bit of an oddity where your sort of like formula on early YouTube, you kind of already had figured out in a way. I think that's quite interesting. I think you're in the small percentage of people who begin YouTube and kind of already have that down. I don't know if Tdawg, if you had a similar circumstance, if you were kind of uploading whatever you want. But
in the beginning, yes. And then I kind of figured out like just like you, you know, people like classes, they like tips and tricks, they like, and I kind of got that back from like T Martin and Ali A. I kind of learned from them being like, okay, they're providing information. I do want to throw a little personality in there so they're not just like, oh, okay, as soon as I don't give them information, they roll. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm learning is, number one, make evergreen, but also make, I'm kind of faded on the tips and tricks. I'm kind of with you. It's like, you always have to be first too, which I hate. It's like, rush to the new season. What's the new gun? Use it. Is it good? I don't know. And then you just have to, you just stay in this pattern of like trying to be first every time. And that's what burned me out from it.
It's a big rat race. And that's why I catch myself in it all the time. Because like when an update comes out, if like I'm having tech issues or I just wasn't a big fan of the footage that I got, I would still like stress myself out to like edit the video, get it up that day. Cause I'm just like, if I wait a day or two, it's not going to do as good. Dead. And everybody else saw it. And like, I don't think that's a bad way to look at it. Cause you definitely, if it's new content, you want to get it out, but it definitely, affects the type of content, or at least I noticed it was affecting my content when I was trying to get caught up in the rat race of getting out first and, you know, doing like the tips and stuff and all that stuff.
I do feel like I was going to say real quick. I feel like with your stuff, even though it's tips and tricks, you know, it's still something that you can go back to. Like if your video pops up, maybe it's just maybe how you title it or how you structure your videos. It's not like what you see in the Rebirth Island now community where it's like the gun examination, 60 kills on Rebirth Island with the Mac 10. And it's like, I don't really want to go back and watch that, but the way you structured yours, one of your videos popped up in my feed today. It was like the new season of Warzone, the Cold War season of Rebirth Island. And I was like, man, it's kind of funny to...
I know what video you're talking about.
Yeah, like you were playing Warzone. It was old construction on Rebirth. And I'm like, man, almost it was like a nostalgia trip because I'm like, you're using the Grossa. I'm like, this feels good, man. This is when Warzone was actually good. But I had really no question there. I thought you just framed your stuff better where it's not like this expires in 24 hours, literally.
Yeah.
I think, what to kind of sum that up, I think you were getting maybe a little burnt on like the sort of flash in the pan content where it's like literally only relevant for like a couple of days.
Literally.
But, you know, you have to strike while the iron's hot. Yeah, that can be exhausting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Where obviously you've taken a bit of a break from Call of Duty. So what has it been about Modern Warfare 3 that has caused you to maybe re-examine what you're doing, or if you're just not enjoying the game as much, or, you know, I'm not sure exactly what it is that's like caused that that shift for you, but I'll let you, you know, discuss where you think Call of Duty's at right now.
So I think for me personally, it's just been like 3 years in a row of this not my style of Call of Duty. Like we had Vanguard, which a lot of people don't like. I still don't think it's that good of a Call of Duty, but I also enjoyed it towards the tail end. It's usually what happens with Sledgehammer games. I've noticed for me personally is the first couple months, like first 4, 5, 6 months sucks. Then everyone forgets about the game. Then the last 6 months is like, okay, this actually is some kind of cool content. And then Modern Warfare 2 came out, just absolutely despised it. I don't like how slow that game is, and it's just not for me.
Hey, fun fact, real quick to interrupt you. That was my first COD Next, and I don't know if you remember, Dysmo. You probably don't, because it was a little early in the content. It was you, Stone Mountain, me, TC Tech. So we sat in the same row in Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I didn't say anything to you though. I was too nervous back then.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest. You could have. I don't say anything to a lot of people just because I like stick my little bubble.
Yeah.
I'm just there to play some Call of Duty. But so Modern Warfare 2, I just wasn't a big fan of it. It's just too slow for me. It's just not my style. And then being that Modern Warfare 3 is essentially a DLC to Modern Warfare 2. I like it, but something that I've realized with taking this break is that I think Modern Warfare 3 is a fun game to play, like with friends. To hop on for a couple hours or whatever. But I found it wasn't the game that I enjoyed making the type of content that I make on. And I realized, and I like kind of isolated it. I've had like enough years of content to kind of pull from to figure out what I like. And it's always been just Treyarch Call of Duties, no matter what it is. I just like them.
Amen.
They are just the fun game for me. And it's what I enjoy making content on. And it just... yeah, it was a mixture of just the state of Call of Duty, and it's just not my style of game.
Mhm.
And like
It
I
was
said,
also one of those times where we had a bit of a different cycle. You know,
yeah,
we typically have Treyarch break up the Infinity Ward monotony, but we had Modern Warfare 2 directly into Modern Warfare 3,
yep.
which is, you know, never really been the case.
I'm glad, although I wish we had a Treyarch COD this year, I'm glad that they are doing that, because I've always said, like, the last Call of Duty that Treyarch had all their time to work on was Black Ops 3, and that, in my opinion, is the best Call of Duty ever made. And then, you know, Black Ops 4, even though it was rushed and they had to do other things, I still think it was a fun game. And then Cold War, I trashed it when it was first out, said it was boring, but then coming back to it, I like fully admit that I COD cycled the game and I said it was awful and I took it for granted. And I think Cold War was also a fun Call of Duty to play. And the outlier into all that is just the games in between just weren't my favorites.
Sure.
I got one thing to say about MW3. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I felt like we talked about this Chop in like our tier lists and podcasts and all the previous ones, but it felt like MW3 was like just like this slight upgrade of MW2, and then on top of it, so it's a familiar game already, the same UI, the same pretty much everything. The guns almost kind of feel the same to me. Yeah, it's like a 2.2, and then on top of that, we're getting new maps, but they're actually 15 years old and we've studied these maps. So I'm like, yeah, you're getting a new game, but it's not new. So you're like, ugh. Like, it's a fun game, just like you said, but it's just missing that, like, okay, everybody's got to learn the guns. Everybody's got to learn the maps. It had none of that. It was just like, I know exactly where to go on terminal. It's right here.
Yeah. And that's that when I said like I enjoy playing the game. Like, I still play Call of Duty. Like, in the 3 months that I haven't uploaded, I've played Call of Duty a couple times every single week for like X amount of hours. I'm almost max level on the multiplayer, even though I haven't been posting. And that's just because, like, hopping in like a 6-man with my IRL friends and like just playing S&D is just fun for a little bit. But when it came to like the content, I was just like, okay, this is like the exact same that we were just doing last year that I already didn't like. And so it was kind of just
probably the perfect time to take a break in a way.
I was like, we have a new Treyarch game coming out. Like, anything I do in this gap right here, the only thing it's going to do is cause more stress. It's just, and it's going to make it so that when this new Treyarch game comes out, instead of like taking a step back and kind of letting myself evaluate my content again, I would go into the Treyarch game and, you know, possibly do the same thing I did with Cold War, which is like it for the first month because I'm no-lifing the game and doing the exact same thing I've done for the last 8 years. And then I hit January, February where I've done everything in the game. And then I say the game's boring and it sucks because I just repeat my same cycle. And so I definitely think like that was like the perfect time to take it because
everything sort of lined up to where it's like I'm not really missing anything. Like, I'm kind of just waiting for this other event that, you know, will allow me to switch up my content to happen. So what do you think about the prospects of Black Ops 6? I don't know if you've kept up with the information that people are alleging the game to, you know, include and everything. But I mean, is it an optimistic thing for you? Are you like, I'm back, or is it like, oh, like, I'm not sure?
Little hesitant, I will be honest, just mainly because like we don't know what it is. It could be something that not a lot of people like, but given Treyarch's track record, at least for me personally, I don't see it being bad. I think it's going to be a super fun game. And I'm glad they named it Black Ops 6 over Gulf War personally.
Yeah, me too, man.
I think naming it Gulf War just
sounded
silly. It just didn't sound like a Call of Duty game. Like, just do Black Ops 6 or do what they did with what is it, Modern Warfare 2019? Just call it Black Ops or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. I've heard a couple things like through the grapevine that it sounds like it's going to be the game that I want to play. And you know, so I'm looking forward to it.
I wanted to point out something you had mentioned earlier. Obviously, you know, your favorite Call of Duty is BO3. I would probably say the same for me, but, you know, for different reasons, like being a zombies guy, like that is the pinnacle for zombie players. But the really interesting thing is that we have a game that is allegedly had a full year or 4-year full development cycle for this next game. Where in a lot of ways, Black Ops 3 was made in like 8 months. They had a lot of stuff that they had made originally, and they trashed all of it. And the BO3 that we have now was thrown together in about 8 months.
I did actually not even know that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
He's like the encyclopedia. He's really good at that stuff.
The only thing I ever heard was like, I remember hearing that like people from Treyarch went to go help people at Infinity Ward during Infinite Warfare. And I've always heard that same kind of like theme, and you see it with like ranked play, for example, like Treyarch handles it.
Sure.
I've always just heard Treyarch always has to go send people to go help the other studios.
It sounds about right.
So that's what's really interesting is like I'm not sure. I'm just curious on how different it'll be, because Cold War kind of had a similar thing. You know, BO3 came together in 8 months, very, very quickly. Cold War, obviously, you know, had to deal with like the pandemic during its development, and that like, you know, caused some issues. And then this is like the first time Treyarch's like really been given this much uninterrupted time in a while. I think the only Treyarch game that really had like a relatively smooth uninterrupted dev cycle was BO2. So and part of me thinks that Treyarch works really well with their back against the wall. I mean, I think BO3 is evidence of that, but I wonder what this game is going to look like having this much time and resource being put behind it.
Yeah, no, I actually, like I said, I did not know Black Ops 3 was made in like 8 months, or at least like obviously like overhauled or whatever. But I think I also just have like faith in Treyarch more so than other just studios. Like, and I always say that's like my personal bias, because there's some people that come out and say like Black Ops 3 is like the worst game, and like Infinite Warfare is better, or
That's
Advanced
wild.
Warfare is better. I think Infinite Warfare is an underrated game. I think it's fun. But so like I think it's just, I'm optimistic. I'm more excited than like nervous or anything. I just am curious how it's going to be with like the new engine, and I also think how gamers consume games nowadays is completely different. Like we want like things constantly given to us, and things to constantly obtain and just to do. And
so with that, really quick, I just want to go off on this tangent. What do you think? What do you think is causing that, and what do you think that'll look like in Call of Duty? Because I agree, we're like we are almost conditioned into expecting. Man, we were talking about it off camera, but I got on PUBG the other day, and I remember the old main menu. You know, you basically just jump right into a game. Essentially, you can put clothes on your character, sort of, but not really, and then you get into a game. PUBG now is so different, where like you have hundreds of missions and all these things that they want you to do, and it's like. It almost feels like an MMO. And I know Call of Duty is not going to look like that, but we've been conditioned to almost expect that in a way. And do you think that's healthy for the game, or would you rather them just Treyarch makes a really good game and maybe there's not as much constant content coming out for it, but they make like just a really quality game? Do you think that would satisfy people, or do you think they're going to have to like do something else?
I think no matter what, there's going to be people that are going to be like unhappy, and they're going to find something to complain about, or say they want less, or say they want more, or like the game's bad or whatever. I think, and also being like usually the people who are on Twitter and like YouTube and all that, we're in the minority. So I personally would rather just a quality game that keeps the most amount of players there possible. Because even myself, I'm trying to get back into playing video games to play video games, not playing video games to earn stuff and to get stuff. Because one of the games that I've seen, you just said MMO, and World of Warcraft is the game that I've sunk the most amount of time ever in my life. And like I still play it to this day. I've played for like 16 years. And in that game, like, there's times that I've had to take breaks from it, because it literally is like, if I'm not logging in today to go do this, like I'm wasting time gaming, even though I'm supposed to be just gaming. So I would say, honestly, as much as like, even though I'm a content creator and I want as much content, I would just rather the game be back to being a quality, fun game that like I can hop on and go play with my boys and go have fun instead of being
This
like,
FOMO
ah,
and like feeling like you're
yeah,
falling behind, and
yeah,
yeah, I kind of hate. It's like so stressful. I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. That game is literally a full-time job.
yeah,
And I simply like don't have time for a full-time job on top of, other full-time jobs. It's crazy.
yeah.
So I agree. I would rather them just make a very quality game that maybe lasts the test of time, that you can just go back and enjoy at any point. I'm Tdawg. We've been talking about this a lot. Like Black Ops 1, I think, is a great example of that game, where it's just that thing is like a time capsule, man. It will always like be the experience that it is, no matter at what point in time you play it. And I think we need more games like that.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. And do you think Fortnite kind of, I don't know if there's another game out there that kind of did it with the content thing, and you're saying being left out. I remember they first introduced that battle pass, and it was like the final skin was Spider-Man, and you had to grind it within 60 days, and if you didn't get it, you'd have to pay for the tiers to get it. I don't know if Fortnite was the first one to do it, but I just remember that, you see all these people swinging around with Spider-Man, and then you're like, oh, I got Jonesy, the default skin. Yeah, I'm out of the club.
Yeah, no, it definitely. I definitely noticed a big shift in just how like gaming was with Fortnite. I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing, because it's just like obviously the game is super popular and successful. But I don't know. I think.
Can I tell you what I think they should do? Call of Duty.
What? Yeah.
I think that they should separate Warzone and put a team on that, and then make. COD. Yeah. It's single player, it's multiplayer, it's zombies or Spec Ops or Extinction or whatever you want to have that third mode. Let there be a Warzone team. Give it Raven Software.
You've been
have
shouting
fun
that from the rooftops.
I'm trying, baby. Listen, I'm trying.
Everyone tries to say like, oh, like Warzone like ruined Call of Duty or it brought it back or all that stuff.
It kind of did both,
think,
kind of.
I think that's what I think. I think it was like a double-edged sword. I think Modern Warfare 2019. I see a lot of people say they like the game. I personally don't. They always say like, oh, like Modern Warfare 19 is like fun, but they always say, oh yeah, but I only played S&D. I think S&D on Modern Warfare 2019 was fun.
Similar like Ghost. People will go, dude, Ghost is so good. S&D was good. I'm like, is that the only good thing that was on that game?
Yeah. Like, if the other modes are bad, then it doesn't mean it's a good game. I think Modern Warfare 2019 S&D, amazing. Respawn, it was awful.
Yeah.
And then I felt like that game was kind of like, it was definitely doing better, I feel like, because of the reboot. And then Warzone came in, and then just, with COVID, it was like the perfect storm. Like everybody was in their house. Like it was this new battle royale that Call of Duty did right. I think Blackout was really good. But the issue being $60 paywall, no crossplay. And that was like the biggest thing with Warzone being free to play, crossplay, COVID, everyone was inside. It blew it up, but I think what tends to happen with Call of Duty, and I don't know this because I'm not a developer, but obviously they saw Warzone's success and they've just been funneling everything into let's like we've done Call of Duty for 15 years. We're gonna milk Warzone now and forget about the other modes. So I've been saying also what you guys just said is like they just need to make a Call of Duty, just name it Call of Duty, update it. Give maps, content, kind of like what like COD Mobile does, and have the BR like separate. If people want to go play Warzone, they can go play Warzone. Like they know it's an iteration of Call of Duty. It doesn't need to be linked in the game.
That's interesting. We have a kind of like, it's interesting you put it where it's like a Call of Duty platform. Me and Tdawg were kind of saying that we want Warzone to be its own thing, where that kind of becomes the live service version of the game. Yeah. And we were saying that we want to go back to like making identifiable Call of Duty games again. Okay. Like instead of making, like the Call of Duty, the platform, where like we need like a Treyarch only game, because one of the things that we've discussed a lot is with all of these studios working together more collaboratively on Call of Duty games now, they increasingly are having less identity. There's less of a difference between Modern Warfare 2 and the new MW2 and like Vanguard, for example, versus BO3 and like COD 4. Those are totally different games, art style, gameplay mechanics, and so on. And we're like, we almost need more. I would almost at this point prefer more individual like division for Call of Duty games in a way. Like I want a Treyarch game to feel like a patent Treyarch game, you know, with that art style and that feel. I want an Infinity Ward game to feel like that, you know, and I think that's how games get cult followings, because there's something for everybody in a way. You may not love that game, but there's, you know, there's a bunch of diehard Ghost fans out there that I'll never understand, but they had a certain style that worked for certain people. And I think
I haven't thought about it like that before. So yeah,
I just feel like we've lost a lot of that, where every game feels more or less the same because every studio's collaboratively, you know, there's too many cooks in the kitchen in a way. And I think they're all kind of coming out the same like brown, you know, soup, where we had distinct flavors back in the day. And that's kind of what I'm calling for, is make Warzone that big melting pot and then have like distinct Call of Duty premium flavors again.
I like that. You just changed my entire look on it. Because I was always viewing it of like, I wasn't looking at it from like going back to like just like the Call of Duty. I was just thinking like, okay, we have Warzone, the free to play stuff works, and I was like, okay, COD Mobile works, because I've dabbled in a lot of that. But no, like that, the way you just worded that, I like that so much more. I agree. Like I've always said, I said this, I think recently when I was streaming, like Modern Warfare 3, it just lacks, like I was like, it's a fun game, it just lacks a soul. It just
it lacks like, its identity. Yeah.
Like, it just 100%. Feels soulless. I'm not saying that that's bad, but it just doesn't feel, it doesn't like
have that thing. Yeah.
I'm not like, it doesn't have what Black Ops 3 has over me. That
Well, I think
that's
I was just gonna say, going back to Warzone stuff and being its own thing. My biggest regret in the last 4 years is how I treated Cold War. I played the game to rank up my Warzone weapons, and I got off. I feel sick to my stomach because it was a great game. It was a great game. Maybe great's being maybe too crazy, but it was a pretty solid game. And because I was so entrenched in the Warzone hype and scene, and man, I would get on, play Nuketown 2025, rank up the new gun that was always meta in Warzone, because you know how they do that with the battle pass, and I would hop right back on the game. And I'm like, I just wish I would have played that game to play it like you're saying right now. Hopped on with the boys, played Search, played Hardpoint, played some League play, but I just never did. And then I'm kind of going back to it now. I played Cold War the other day, just pubs, and I'm like, this is so fun. What am I doing?
Cold War reminded me a lot of like because I had like the newer engine, but it reminded me a lot of that Treyarch arcadey older style Call of Duty that I enjoyed. And no, when I think I went back and 100%ed the game on multiplayer and just did all the challenges, and like going back and doing that and just playing through the entire game made me just realize, man, like I would have sunk so much more time into this game had like I removed my like just like outlook on. It was like I was wanting just that constant content belt, and I felt like I wasn't getting it on Cold War, which made me felt like the game was boring. In fact, the game was really cool, and like the zombies, I thought it was a fun zombies experience. Like I did some of the Easter eggs with Noah and stuff. Yeah,
I thought I told Chop, I was like, it kind of reminded me of a little bit of the OG, because I lost. In like Ops 3, I was like, what is going on here? I'm jumping around, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm solving puzzles. And it felt like that first map for Cold War, I was just like shooting zombies again. And you know, if you wanted to exfil, if you want to do some weird stuff, you could, but like you could just shoot zombies again. And that's what I missed. And I think it was cool because Chop was like, oh wow, like I didn't think of it like that, because he's so entrenched in figuring out every Easter egg known to man.
It's go ahead.
No, you go. You go.
I was just gonna say that I'm always curious listening to your guys' view on it, because like being so like zombie pilled, I was Cold War, when it initially came out, basically only had one map, and what the biggest benefit it had, and I think they would fare well to do this in BO6, is they did an amazing job at, again, as Tdawg said, allowing people just to come on and like shoot zombies. Very low barrier to entry. You don't need to watch 8,000 guides to, interact with the map. That being said, for zombie people, one of the complaints with Cold War was that the depth of the Easter eggs and the amount of them was a bit too shallow. And I've always kind of tried to encourage people, or really encourage like the developers and Treyarch to like, if they can make a zombies experience that is equally appealing to, you know, casual people that just want to get on and shoot zombies, but they, you know, make the depth as, if they can somehow do both, which I get is difficult, but also have the depth that satisfies the more like hardcore zombies community that really appreciated what BO4 did in a lot of ways. I think those two things being married together could make a very whole zombies experience. And it's just always cool hearing your guys' like thoughts on, you know, zombie experiences that you did or did not like. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, and like something, it made me doing this video that I've been working on with Black Ops 3. It had me go and play through the entire Easter eggs, like all of them, do the super Easter egg, which I couldn't remember if I did or not, but like just playing through them all, like the I don't know, I didn't do any Black Ops 4 zombies, so I don't know like the depth of it, but like even with Black Ops 3, like Black Ops 3, I felt like I could just play the map and just play and like kill zombies, and it was fun, but I also like felt like the Easter eggs
had that extra layer there.
I had the extra, and like it wasn't like the Easter eggs, some of them were easier than others. It wasn't like I was going in there one-shotting every single Easter egg, and it was like the easiest thing to do in 30 minutes. Like for my first playthrough of someone who hasn't done a lot of them, it was taking me like 2-3 hours to solo the Easter egg, to go through these steps. And I found it so entertaining because like there's the depth, and then being able to follow the story with like premise characters and everything. Like I enjoyed that a ton, and I had never done that before. And like same thing with like, it could also be as simple, and I don't know if it is simple, but Shangri-La, never done the Easter egg before, but I loved it. It was super simple and easy. I loved like the puzzles.
Did you do the Chronicles one on BO3?
Yeah, I did the Chronicles one. And I just enjoyed like, you know, going into like the Eclipse, stepping on the platform, getting it, telling my buddy who's on the other side of the map what he needs to go find. Like I enjoyed like that, like little type of stuff. And like I'd never experienced that before because I just never got like that deep into it.
Sure.
Back then.
Something to point out with Shangri-La really quick is like, or that kind of like Easter egg design, that was obviously a BO1 map, and the quest was designed for BO1. That being said, zombie gamers have now gotten accustomed to being able to solo every Easter egg. Do them, you know, if you're good enough, you can do it by yourself. Shangri-La is not the case. You have to have a team with that, but that entire map is predicated on like communication with your team. The whole Easter egg, even getting Pack-a-Punch, you need to, you know, coordinate it. So we I've always suggested that I think it would be fun to have in future maps where you have like a soloable Easter egg or solo version of it, but maybe even have a version that can only be done co-op with teammates that you need to communicate with.
Isn't Shadows of Evil kind of like that? Because Shadows, you can do the entire thing solo, but then you can't do the final step, which is the worms and not the worms, the
like shocking the thing with
shocking everything. So I liked that. I know you can download like a mod on like Black Ops 3 on PC and like solo it. But like the vast majority of people don't play on PC anyway. So like I liked, I agree. I like that where it like forced me to go and like, because some people also just play by themselves. And I feel like at times that helps, like, just, you know, I don't know,
maybe push you to hit up a buddy and be like, hey, you want to help me out with this thing?
Yeah,
like,
do the
it doesn't
like,
gatekeep you from enjoying a solo because you can do everything up to that point. But that final step, you need people. Technically, you can do it 2-player without a mod, but most people aren't doing that. But still, it kind of encourages you, if you want to take that final step, maybe, you know, go literally go get friends. That's kind of what it's telling you. But then you'll always kind of like remember that moment. And I don't know. I like that vibe in Zombies a lot, and I hope they, in some way, iterate on the ability to, you know, have teammates more often.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Without gatekeeping the solo experience.
Yeah.
Was Mob of the Dead? So we just did one the other day. He walked me through one. Is Mob of the Dead solo, or is it? Can you do that, or can you do it solo?
It's kind of like Shadows. You can do everything up to the final step. You know that moment when we got on the plane for the last time and went to the bridge?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You can do everything up to that point. You can get all of the like audio logs solo, but you can't do that final step where you like get on the plane.
Okay.
So it's actually, I hadn't thought about that, but it's very similar to Shadows in that way, where you can do everything until that final moment.
That was fun, by the way.
Yeah, that was very fun. We got to do more.
I guess I mean, my question here up next on my little list is favorite COD and then least favorite COD, and then hit us with a little, you know, why type of vibe.
So obviously Black Ops 3 being my favorite. That's a very like known thing. I just think I love jetpacks. Like as hot take if that is to other people, I just think it added a level of skill gap that
will never come back.
That was I just liked it. Like it was fun. Like every play style worked, but every play style could be countered, and I like that. Whereas like I feel like nowadays with Call of Duty, there's times where I'm like trying to, you know, play very aggressive like I usually do. And then I realize, okay, I can't because this one guy's holding this angle. So then I go and also hold an angle. And then I end up on like a 15, 18 kill streak or something like that.
And
because
it's
I'm
so
just not
boring.
moving.
You're like, I feel guilty about it. Yeah.
And so I loved Black Ops 3 for the jetpack, for the just plays that you can make. Like I remember watching Fearless do just like crazy no scopes, like wall running and no scoping across the map, or like doing funny things like jumping over people and like getting behind them and like meleeing them or hitting low wall runs. I just enjoyed it. And then obviously the zombies experience was amazing. Mod tools and everything. And everyone says they don't like the campaign. I played it through, thought it was actually pretty fun.
Try and go boom.
I thought it was pretty good, but the only thing people always say is like, oh, but the supply drops. Like I think the supply drops were BS. I think everybody agrees. Like when you put the weapons in there, it's BS. I thought the way they put like actually had them though with crypto keys and like the cosmetics that were in there was good outside of the weapons. Because I think that adds that level of when I was saying like having something to grind for. If I just have like keys and every like 30 keys, I can go open a random box and maybe get like a rare legendary camo, and that's it. It'll only be like camos or like a skin for my guy. That keeps me playing because like it's just like a random chance. Like for example, in World of Warcraft, also like right now I'm trying to get this weapon, and you have to dig it up, and it's not guaranteed. It's just an RNG, and you have to hopefully roll it and have it like pop up. And like, I know some people that have spent 30 minutes and they got it because they just got lucky. And then other people who are still hunting after that. I know some people get like upset, like, oh, you got to have like some like loss protection or whatever, where like after so many crafts, like I think Apex has, if you open, I think 500 packs, you're guaranteed one heirloom. But like getting 500 packs without buying it was going to take you a while. So like you have like that end goal. And I think like if supply drops could be reworked like that, it would be okay. But obviously, every time we've had them, they like, oh, it's cosmetic only. Then they throw in weapons, or like so like that's definitely like the bad side of Black Ops 3, and like I always like admit to it. And then when it comes to like the worst Call of Duty or like ones I don't like, it'd have to be. It's kind of like tied. It's the last three. I'm torn between the last three.
Amen.
So Vanguard, I will say out of the three, I'm not trying to COD cycle it, but I still think Vanguard it's probably a Modern Warfare 2, if I'm gonna be honest. After thinking about it, it's Modern Warfare 2 that's just to me, it's just not Call of Duty. It just wasn't Call of Duty to me. Nothing about it felt like Call of Duty. Like the only time I probably got excited about it was like when it was new, because it's the honeymoon stage. All Call of Duty players, they love that first month of the game.
But
like,
do you remember walking out of COD Next? Do you remember COD Next 5? I told Chopper this. MW2 COD Next. People walked out of that on my bus that we left to go back to the hotel. It was silent. And one of the people that worked at Activision, they were like, so what'd you guys think? And I don't know if he don't mind me saying this because he doesn't care. Modern Warzone, Doug, he said that's one of the worst games I've ever played. And I was holy crap.
I had a similar thing. I'm not going to name drop because I don't know. But
blur that out. And I was just kidding. It will be fine.
Like I had a buddy come up to me and he was like, "Oh, so what'd you think?" And I was like, "Honest." He's like, "Honest." I was just like, "Dog shit." I was like, "I don't like it." I was just like, I don't like it. I was like, and that was mainly towards the Warzone, which I always kept that. I thought Warzone was fun for the first like 5 days when they did Warzone 2 with prox chat, because when they added proximity chat, it changed it. But then that wore off so quickly. And I remember at the COD Next event, it could have been I just played bad. I remember I think Breadman fucking just eliminated me like off the
let's
rip.
not team up, and then it's the World Series of Warzone team running around together. I went, I'm walking around with 2 devs.
Yeah, it's so like I definitely think it's always like during those events, it depends on how you like perform and stuff. But I did see like a general consensus that people were just not happy with Warzone. We're not happy with the multiplayer. So it'd probably go like Modern Warfare 2 is my least favorite, then Vanguard, and then Modern Warfare 3 is like only there just because it lacks, like I said, a soul, lacks an identity. Like
OG Modern Warfare 3 or new?
No, new Modern Warfare 3.
Okay.
OG Modern Warfare 3, I loved it, but yeah, like top 3 Call of Duties are probably like Black Ops 3, probably Black Ops 3, Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 4. Like I don't say Black Ops 2, not because I don't like the game, because everybody's like, oh my God. I only had a day played on it when it was the current game because I didn't play it. So I feel like I can't sit here and be like, it's my top 3 favorite game if I didn't play it. And so I don't think it's a bad game. I'd love for them to remaster it, but I think Black Ops 4 is just underrated too. I thought it got a lot of hate, but
I think when I first started watching some of your content I think it was Black Ops 4. And then like you almost made me enjoy that game because at that time I was like, it's okay. Like it didn't have a campaign. It didn't. Multiplayer was kind of. It was like I felt like a watered down Black Ops 3 almost, in my opinion.
Pretty much.
And then I watched some of your stuff. Man, that actually looks kind of fun. And then I kind of got into the competitive scene a little bit more than I had previously. So it's kind of funny how it all kind of connects into funnels into something. But I do want to real quickly go back to Black Ops 3. We talked about this, Chop. How you said there was like a play style. Boy, oh boy, did Black Ops 3 feel like you could do anything. I always talk about Thunder. He's a YouTuber I used to watch all the time. That dude hated jetpacks. But you know what? He could play Black Ops 3 almost like a boots on the ground game. And he could get away with it because you could jump around like a freak. You could play boots on the ground. You could play a mixture of both. And man, I just thought like it goes to the Warzone storyline. Like, Warzone is so popular because there's a different storyline. There's a different play style. You can camp, you can do this. And I think that's how Ops 3 was. It had all this different, I don't even know what you call it, different play styles, different storylines, every single multiplayer match where, like you said about MW3, you could watch 100 people's perspective. And I feel like you could not tell who was Breadman, who was Joe Woe, who was Bob down the street, and who's your buddy. Like it just doesn't.
There's no agency anymore.
There's nothing.
Like
there's nothing.
You had like agency not only in the equipment you ran in class and whatnot, but even just the way that you interact with the map. You could not touch the wall runs at all. You could sit in a corner and or hold down a building like Thunder.
The Hive.
Yeah, exactly. And so and I think with that like guns up mentality BO3 had, and just the genius game design, they had it to where like that was approachable for everybody, even if you didn't like jetpacks. I think that I don't know how they did it. That was the smartest thing, and they had that depth that I think a lot of us who are like COD pilled are looking for. But it was easily as approachable to your average gamer who maybe pick up Call of Duty for 5 hours a week or something, if that. And I don't know if we can get back to that in multiplayer, but clearly like the most recent ones haven't had that gradient of like player agency and different play styles that you can interact with.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I don't think like specialists and jetpacks would probably ever make a return just because of the flack that they got with like Infinite Warfare and even into like Black Ops 4. That's like one thing I would say, like cheesy ass specialists like the dog and like the microwave shield and everything like that. But like if it was me, I would love for them to bring it back because like you said, like it works for everybody. And I remember too, like even Infinite Warfare had a whole playlist. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much because it's Infinite Warfare, but they had a whole playlist where they just removed the jetpacks.
AW did as well, yeah.
And every map worked. And it's the same thing. Like you can traverse the entire map with or without jetpacks. And like you can do good either way because like there was also
I think that worked better in IW. AW
did not work at all in my opinion.
No, Infinite Warfare's I remember playing it and it worked. Like everything that like you needed to get to. Like, obviously the wall runs that were like over like a giant like abyss you couldn't go to, but like I think the map was, forgot what the map is, but like it's like ice everywhere.
I know what you're talking
And
about. I don't
there's
remember the
like
name.
there's like a robot building facility in like the mid, like this on the like left or like the right side or whatever, and like there's a little ship in the middle that has like a giant abyss. Like with jetpacks, you can get onto it easily, and you can still jump to it without a jetpack as well. So it's like all the maps still worked, which, like I said, it just it iterates that you don't have to use the jetpacks you don't want to. Yeah, it's gonna be annoying if you go up against someone who's a lot better than you with the jetpacks and with the movement, because I definitely think it adds that skill gap.
But it also can be kind of inspiring too.
Yeah, you could be like, okay, I want to get better at this.
Yeah.
But you could also just get better at countering it by figuring out ways to counter people with jetpacks, because like there's ways to do it.
So do you think originally BO4 was going to be a jetpack COD? If they had stuck to that, do you think you would have enjoyed BO4 even more? Because I know you like it more than the average person probably, but you think you would have enjoyed BO4 like even more if they had jetpacks?
Way more. I'm pretty sure I have a tweet
Yeah.
at what is it? I think his name is Matt Scront. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I think Matt Scrontz. He works at Treyarch. I didn't mean to name drop, by the way. That was just he's one of like the main head devs. So I feel like a lot of people, if you know about Treyarch, you know of him. But like I remember tweeting at some of the devs, I'm like, hey, we have this heavy metal heroes in Blackout where you have the jetpack in Blackout. Why can't we have a game mode in multiplayer? And like they never did it, and that made me so sad, because I was just like, we literally had the jetpacks in the game, and they never let us experience how the game would have played with jetpacks in multiplayer. And I like, to me, it makes the game fast. Like I said, it's more reliant on like I have more control over, instead of like just dying to someone holding an angle within a big ass LMG and just waiting for me. If they're holding that angle and I react quick enough, I can jump and like get the angle on them and react faster. And I liked that. And I think if Black Ops 3 had it, or if Black Ops 4 had it, probably would be up there as I don't think it'd ever take Black Ops 3's place, but it would be like directly right behind it. Cause I think the jetpack style of Call of Duty is the style that I like. It's why I started making videos. It's the game that I fell in love with.
That's what
that re-sparked Call of Duty for me.
Do you think they will, in your opinion, do you think we'll ever see a future where they do that again?
No. I don't think so. I think after Infinite Warfare, which I think Infinite Warfare just got the short end of the stick. I think it was just the launch date, like it being the third jetpack game. I would love for them to try it again. Obviously, like I don't see what's stopping them from just like we have limited time modes where like there's been like, I think in Modern Warfare there's been like modes where you get like higher jump. Or like
bunny hopping came back with arcade. I don't know if you played that yet.
I have not, but I saw a video on Twitter where like you're able to bunny hop, but like they can test it. Like I don't see, like there's so many LTMs, and I don't know why they haven't just like, hey, let's add a jetpack LTM. Like this used to be something we did for 3 years in a row. Like and obviously like Black Ops 3 is still, I'm pretty sure it's still in like the top 10, like selling on Steam.
For
like,
sure.
People still love the game. So obviously there's something there.
I think it's interesting that we had jetpack fatigue for, a while, like especially during Infinite Warfare. That was the overall feeling. And now we're getting to that point where jetpacks are nostalgic again.
Yeah.
Or like,
I feel like that's going to happen with
this is how it is.
Yeah. This is how it is. Like, I would love for them to try it again. I don't think they're ever going to like full send an entire game only being jetpacks.
Yeah.
Unless they did something like what you guys were talking about, meaning instead of just having Warzone its own thing and then going back to the roots of like with Call of Duty of like giving each one its identity.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's another big thing is everything they do on multiplayer. I feel like they got to make sure it works on Warzone, and the quality of life that's affecting the quality of life of both. I think Warzone would be better if it had a team dedicated just to Warzone that didn't have to talk to the people that were doing multiplayer, because they're completely different games.
and you can tell me what you think about this. They want Call of Duty to be like this big ass like experience where people play a bit of multiplayer, then they go over to Warzone, then they go over to zombies, and people don't play like that. At least in my opinion, and from what I see and play, like, you know, everyone has kind of their lane.
Yep.
And they're trying to cater to literally every single lane, and they end up like truly pleasing nobody when they're doing that. Like zombie fans get screwed over. I've been screwed for years.
Oh,
like,
I feel worse for the I think multiplayer like has been rough, but like zombies, like I feel bad for like the zombies. Like I enjoyed MWZ for a little bit when it first came out, but then I've looked at it and I'm like, what content has it gotten? It's gotten like we get a new
Treyarch left.
boss.
They said we're not working on this anymore. Bye bye.
You got a cutscene, man. Stop complaining, bro.
Yeah, we got a cutscene. That's crazy. Yeah, so it's like they're trying to make this kind of entire package that everybody's going to play equally, but people just don't play like that.
No,
and
not at all.
That means that their favorite part of the game that they really enjoy is not getting the love that they feel it has gotten when they would like focus in on that part in particular. And so everybody is just left with like a mild dissatisfaction because they're just trying to please everybody. So I really think if they clean break from Warzone and they give games their identity and flavor again, that premium experience may not work for everybody, but the people that it does work for will really like it. And I don't know, maybe that's not the most financially viable, you know, approach, but damn it, I just want a good Call of Duty game again, you know.
No, same. I feel like it's just been so long, but like that could be just a personal preference. Like I always I've talked to people all the time. Like there's been people that love the Infinity Ward games. I don't know how people like the Infinity Ward games. They're just not for me. But no, I definitely think like, I don't know, the separating Warzone, not as like all right, let's not do anything Call of Duty related, but like what you said, like making this whole big thing. You can see it just by like the BattleNet. Like I open up BattleNet, it doesn't say Modern Warfare 3. It just says
Call of Duty. Yep.
It just says Call of Duty. And like I don't think there's anything wrong with that in the sense, but it's like Warzone can be its own thing and be fine, because look at all the other battle royales that are just its own thing and are fine. Granted, like Fortnite and Save the World, like I don't know how much Save the World gets updated anymore, but like
they're totally different entities.
They're totally different. And it's fine. It works for the people that want to play that, and it works for the people that want to play Fortnite. And I think I will say too, like when they did Warzone 2, I thought that was the dumbest thing ever, making a second Warzone and shutting down the first one. Because no other battle royale does that. But no, I definitely
it feels
think
like that's kind of taking the lead, right? And it's like they have to cater everything towards that. Can I tell you something that drives me crazy?
Yeah.
And I don't, when you guys play I don't know how many of y'all play Call of Duty on console sometimes, but with the recent Call of Duties, I know a lot of viewers will know what I mean by this. When the game first launches, the icon of the game will be the title card, like what the original artwork of the game.
Yep.
After like a season or two, the icon of the game in your console just becomes like the Warzone icon.
Yep.
And I was looking for Vanguard like last year when I was like doing a retrospective on it, and I felt so dumb because I couldn't find it in my PlayStation. I was like, I know I have the game, but I was like scrolling through Warzone stuff. I was like, where's Vanguard? The title they did that with Modern Warfare 2. I love the artwork of that game. Even though I don't love MW2, the new one. I like the artwork a lot. And then it was there for a while, and then it disappeared to become the Warzone logo. I'm just like, dude, like, can y'all, it's just a little thing, but that drives me crazy. I hate that.
They've pushed Warzone heavy, because I will say it's probably like the more popular mode, but like
100%.
mainly it's free to play, so like of course it's gonna be more popular. And I don't know. I think ever since just Warzone blew up, that's been like the suits at Activision. Like that's just all they care about, is like, this is where all the numbers are. But and like I don't think if they full send multiplayer into Call of Duty, it's gonna ever be back to where like the golden years are. Sure. But we can get back to like, you can get to a good spot still. Like just because like the golden years are like past doesn't mean you can't make like new ones.
Yeah.
And like you can. We had like Warzone's done well, and it's done what it needs to do. But like obviously like over the last 2 years, we've just seen like a
it's come at the
decline now.
it's come at the cost of the pillars that made Call of Duty what it was originally.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think too, my brother-in-law always comes up to me and he's like, dude, I hop on Warzone. I haven't played in 4 months because I work a real job. I don't have the guns unlocked. I don't have the meta builds. That's the one thing I liked going back to Blackout just for a second was I do think that they should introduce some sort of mode, kind of like how Fortnite, they realized, okay, build is becoming very, very sweaty. Let's add a non-build mode. And I think there needs to be some sort of, whatever Warzone the next one's called when Treyarch takes it over and it's Verdansk, we assume. I think they need to introduce some sort of game mode, because even myself now, I don't play as much Warzone as I did back in 2020 through 2023. Dude, I don't want my multiplayer experience to be, okay, let me rank this gun up. I hate that. That just becomes mindless and numbing and boring. I do wish that they would go back to a battle royale experience where you pick up guns, you pick up attachments. Again, they probably won't do this, but I just think for the casual, they always preach casual. We're catering to the casuals. Okay, well, I can't figure out how to get the multiplayer on that main menu. So what casual are we talking about? And then the guns being hard to rank up, the store hits you in the face as soon as you walk in. I don't know why they're saying they're doing the casual thing when the game seems to be completely opposite. There's 100 million settings now. I just think that's just a lame excuse.
And y'all can tell me what you think. Like, this is from my more casual Warzone perspective. Something I wanted to add to your thing, what you just said, Tdawg, is like, Fortnite did their mechanic that really set them apart as BR was building, of course, and then they did no build to really revitalize the game in a way. And then you're like, okay, how do you do that for Call of Duty? I've always felt that the thing that made Warzone different amongst all the battle royales was the create a class, like the patented create a class Call of Duty thing in a battle royale setting. And I think the biggest difference between that and like a traditional BR is, doing what Blackout did and being more loot based. And if they were to turn around and say, hey, our BR is not going to have like loadouts. You're not going to have, you won't be able to like rank up and make your weapons in game. You're going to have to just find what you get. I'm not saying that everybody would like that, especially I would imagine the more hardcore Warzone fans would not. But yeah. But, I've been playing a lot of PUBG recently and stuff. And I actually tend to like slow burn loot based BR games. And that would be like the thing that if they wanted to throw a wrench into their current situation with Battle Royale, that would be the way to do it. Get rid of the whole, like, I'm not saying they should, but that would be the way they could, is get rid of the whole like loadout system, make it loot based again. I'm not saying they should go that way, but that's kind of what I thought of when you had brought that up.
I think the issue with that is I think the loadouts make Warzone Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes it Call of Duty, and it separates it from the others. I think what they could do, or it's like a very, because obviously I think the reason why there's so many levels and like all this stuff is because like Warzone's free. They know multiplayer is the fastest way to level the guns. So like, I feel like I was like, with going back to Black Ops 3, like the max levels that you have on a gun is like 8 or like 10 levels. I feel like they just have, I don't like the gunsmith now because there's so many unnecessary attachments. Like, I don't want to have to scroll for 3 minutes to find the red dot that I want.
It's like, bad.
I want to see like a demographic of how many sites, like what is the most used site? Get rid of the other ones. Just fucking delete all the other BS, because like all these guns that they come out with the same attachment, or they come out with all these like new guns and they sometimes add new attachments, and it will like adjust something by like a point or something like that. And it's like not noticeable that you're not going to win or lose a gunfight because they had this one attachment that gave them 1 point more than you. You lost the gunfight because you lost it.
Especially in multiplayer.
And so like, I think that they're doing all that, obviously, because they want people to play the game. They want people to go buy the multiplayer so that they can go and level up the guns and make more money. I think they keep loadouts, but they just need to revert back to where it doesn't take you 3 to 4 business days to level up your weapon. Like, you can still make it like a kind of like good grind, but it doesn't need to take somebody 3-4 days to max out. Like I have a cousin of mine who wants to play, and every time we hop on Warzone, I have everything maxed out because every time a gun comes out, I go max it out real quick. It takes me like a couple hours, but like I'm not the casual person. Like I'm a bit better, obviously. And like he'll go up and like he's like, oh, give me a build, and I'll give him a build. He's like, oh, I don't have that yet. I haven't leveled it up. I can't. I don't have that. I don't have that. And like so like I think there's like I think things like the weekly challenges for those aftermarket parts is really cool. Like if it takes you like a couple days to knock out all these challenges to get this cool part, cool. But like I don't think you should be spending days leveling up your weapons. I think if
it's this like obsession with player retention they have where they're like scientifically engineering it to you know the maximum amount of time that they can stretch people to be on the game, and it's like it just feels a bit manipulative, and it's like just give me like a good solid 2 hours to like get through my gun and you know get all this stuff done. It's just it's a little bit it's just and with the what you said with the amount of attachments at this point. I liked it in Modern Warfare 2019 because it felt like something new. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it in this game. But it's gotten like so out of hand, especially for arena shooters. I get it's, you know, in Warzone, it's different. You're taking gunfights at longer ranges. It's a bit more of a dynamic game. I get that. But in COD multiplayer, like, again, these very minuscule stat changes are just like not very important. It's so extra for Call of Duty. Save Gunsmith for where it belongs in like BR. Honestly, what you're almost in a roundabout way suggesting is like go back to pick 10. Yeah,
I fucking love 100%. Pick 10. Like
keep it simple in multiplayer.
I loved pick 10. I loved it when it was just like it wasn't. Do you have the 18.2-inch Tempest barrel or the 17.6 whatever barrel? It's like, oh, you got a long barrel for that. Awesome, fast mags, rapid fire, basic shit. Like the multiplayer doesn't need all this other stuff because it really doesn't matter. And it's obvious that the gunsmith has always been like catered towards like Warzone because they just want you to switch everything. But like there's so many sites that are like 2x and there's like 7 2x sites that just change the reticle. You can literally just go one tab and do what they did in other Call of Duties, which is just have a spot that you can change your reticle because like they had that.
Yeah.
With Black Ops
That's
2,
a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
I've been going back to Black Ops 2 and playing Plutonium a little bit, and you have 2 attachments. Like you have, maybe you can do the third, I think, in that one, but it's like fast mag, red dot, and then you all of a sudden have less ammo, and you have some kick. So it's like it's this trade off. I always tell Chop like, you go play Modern Warfare 3, and I just feel like everything feels the same. There's no identity between a gun where everything's got MCW. You put nothing on that thing. The thing's got the most minimal recoil I've ever seen in my life. If you can't control that, then you just suck at the game personally. Yeah. So it's like Black Ops 2, I've been playing, and I've been kind of doing different attachments, and I'm like, man, this thing's got some kick. Like I got to actually control my bullets, or I put an extended mag on that I can shoot a couple more people at the same time. So I just think that trade-off with only having like 2, you really have to create an identity. Going back to that word, but when you play, it's not just all right. Let me get the no recoil build and sprint around like a maniac and get 30, go 30 and 29.
And like that's the thing too is like those classes, like they also. I feel like the gunsmith was supposed to add like a ton of variety, but once again, if 90% of your attachments mean absolutely nothing, it doesn't add any variety. Whereas I felt like back in the day, like with the pick 10, it was so like crucial. I even like when I hopped on Black Ops 3 the other day to just play some multiplayer. It's like I was sitting there, I was like, okay. So I was running into like some sweats. And so after the game, I was like, man, do I want to put on Ghost? I was like, but if I put on Ghost, I might have to use like the purple one Greed because I want Afterburner as well. But if I do that, I'm going to lose my rapid fire. Like it was so much more like creative because like people could run, you know, a VMP with a long barrel fast mag or rapid fire and, you know, a grip or whatever. Like there was just different builds instead of now. I feel like everybody just uses the same MCW build or the same rival build, the same blah, blah, blah. Not because like that, like it just because nothing else works. Like it's just what you have
skill-based matchmaking.
To what you said in old games, it's like you could even have different builds of the same gun for different maps. Like, you know, I'm thinking like BO2. I would have like a silenced MSMC for when I'm playing like raid, but then I would have like a long barrel one for, you know, a bigger map. And it's the same weapon, but like I'm building it in a different way because like it fits a particular situation better. Now you have a one size fits all gun. Because of the gunsmith, you dispense with 90% of the other attachments, never touch them or even look twice at them. And so it becomes pick 10 with extra steps, basically.
Yeah.
And
pretty much.
That entire system of variety and experimenting has become incredibly pointless for multiplayer. I get it maybe has a place in Warzone, but I think like we have in a roundabout way discovered that a pick 10 is what belongs in MP. As far as that goes,
it 100%, and like I 100% think so. And I think I saw a rumor saying like Black Ops 6 is supposedly supposed to have the pick 10 back, which if that's the case, I love that. It's just I also like don't like with the gunsmith where and it was very bad in Vanguard, but where they allow you just get 5 attachments, no penalty.
Yeah,
yeah. I think that is another thing. Like it's you can still have the gunsmith with all these attachments. I think you just have. I feel like there just needs to be a penalty for like the amount. Like I think you shouldn't be able to have the entire like arsenal on your one gun. You need to pick and choose to actually build that identity because like we've been talking about, it just has no identity because everything is everything else. Everyone is the same.
So you're saying you don't like the pick 10 from Vanguard, the 10 attachments?
Oh yeah, that was just the pick 10 on your that
pick 10,000. That was
it was fun at first because I was like, man, we got so much. But then it was just like, okay, we're all gonna be running the same grip. We're all running whatever is like the ammunition that increases like the damage the most. Whereas like and then like make everything no recoil. Whereas before it's like, okay, I'm gonna take rapid fire. But I'm not going to put a grip on it. Instead, I'm going to put long barrel because I can control that recoil. Whereas now it's like, nah, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that. Now my gun's not going to move. And I got all the things that make it stronger. And it just, it
affects MP. And it also like, weirdly enough, it kind of affects zombies too, because like you now can create your gun for zombies. Whereas, and you know, pack-a-punching and everything, you will still have the same build, but in stuff like BO1 and 2, you would pack a punch a weapon, and based on the gun that it is, it would give you a specific attachment back that would make it, you know, distinctly different. I'm thinking of like the AUG from Black Ops 1. You pack a punch it, and you get a shotgun underbarrel. You know, that's the attachment that comes on that. Or you pack a punch the M16 and you get the grenade launcher. It's like, if you want that stuff, that you go out of your way to get that specific weapon. And you can't, you know, put your red dot in long barrel. Like, you get what you get with that. And in BO2, you could like double upgrade and, you know, you would have a red dot and then you could put it in the machine again and get something else if you wanted like a grip on it or whatever. But basically, like, the addition of Gunsmith in multiplayer and zombies, I would argue, removed the identity that the weapons themselves had back in the day. Because also when we think about our favorite guns in COD, just generally, I am going to wager that almost all of them are from pre-Gunsmith days.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Because, again, everything with the Gunsmith system, everything is everything else. And there's no reason to like a specific gun because you can kind of make the same thing using any other weapon, more or less.
Yeah.
And everybody's favorite gun that they like attached to, you know, no pun intended, was probably a pre-Gunsmith one where it was a pick 10 where you would put your very favorite attachments on it and everything. And, you know, you love that weapon because of the exact thing that it was.
Oh,
and
yeah, no,
we don't have that now.
Yeah, no, because like when people would say like, "What's your favorite gun of all time?" I'd go like OG Modern Warfare 2 UMP45 with a silencer, like because you were only unless you ran bling, you only got the one attachment.
Yep.
And so it's like that silent, like, and that was just an iconic sweat weapon. And I feel like nowadays I don't think I've heard a single person say their favorite gun of all time is something from Modern Warfare 3. Like the only gun I can think of that people love, like absolutely love, is either the Growl
I was gonna say that.
Or like the Car 98K, maybe AS Val too. But like the Car
that's all from MW19, and that's when it was controlled. It wasn't this big wild thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like the Gunsmith we have now, I just don't like it, and I hope we go back to pick 10. At least like Chop was saying, like for multiplayer, it definitely needs it. Like we don't need all these attachments. Like it will build so much more identity and just like like obviously no matter what, someone's gonna find the meta. Someone's gonna like crunch it down, like find the actual best thing. Because I remember like when Black Ops 3, or Black Ops 4, I would make like class setup videos. And I made all my class setup videos based off of feel, not based off of numbers. I'd hop on, build it. If I did really well with it consistently, I'm like, okay, this is a weapon I want to make a video on.
Yeah.
And then like I remember I'd be streaming sometimes, and then like J God would come in and be like,
actually,
yeah, he'd be like, actually, and I love it. I love J God. And he's like, actually, that's actually making it worse. And I'm like, J God, let me do my thing.
Yeah.
But so there's gonna be somebody that's gonna find that meta and that thing. But I just love finding weapons, and it's based off of feel. Whereas like I said, with pick 10, your entire build was like your identity for that game.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
So I was gonna do a couple quick hitters. I don't know.
Yeah.
My first one was literally favorite gun of all time. But now that you gave us the UMP, maybe give me your second favorite.
I can give you a couple. So like
okay.
Yeah, so like Kuda from Black Ops 3.
Ooh.
I love that. Like long barrel, rapid fire. Loved the Locust. That's why I mean you can't really see it, but I have my 3D printed.
Wash did it, right? Mr. Wash. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And a lot of my guns just are Black Ops 3. And they're like D13 Sector. See, and that's another thing too. I like feel like we don't have in Call of Duty anymore is like the goofy fun weapons. Like we don't have a gun that shoots a disc that can bounce off the walls and cut like 4 people and get like a quad feed with that.
It's way less sandboxy now.
Like, 100%. Everything just seems a very cookie cutter. But yeah, I'd probably say like UMP, OGMW2, Kuda, Locust, basically everything that Black Ops 3 has. I can just every time I say another gun, every time I say another gun, like I said Locust, then I thought, okay, the Olympia, the M19, the 1911 pistol. I was like, the Brecci was kind of fun to mess around with.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So I'm just going to continue these. Favorite, I know you're a camo grinder. Was there a favorite one that you liked, and maybe it was your favorite grind, but there was one that you liked better, like look wise, if that makes sense.
So look wise, I think Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3, I think
I would have never guessed.
Looks fucking clean. But if I'm gonna remove that, because I say it the entire time, I think Black Sky on Infinite Warfare just looks amazing.
Me too, man.
And I also like it because that mastery grind gives you 2 mastery camos, because you get solar and you get Black Sky.
Yeah.
And then I would say the one that I had the most fun on, but if you looked at the videos, you'd not think I had fun, but was Cold War's Dark Matter Ultra and Dark Ether. Like being able to grind a camo on zombies and multiplayer, like those mastery, it's just so much more fun when like it's not, okay, I earned this camo on multiplayer, now I can use it on all my guns on everything. And like that's what I like about even with Modern Warfare 3. I thought they did good with the Modern Warfare zombies, being able to go in and grind Borealis, and then going in, they added like a mastery camo for the older guns. Like I liked that. But I think so favorite probably Infinite Warfare, Black Sky, and then favorite grind was just Cold War's Dark Matter.
Can I take a side note? As a casual camo grinder that used to do it back in the day, boy, do I miss just getting headshots on these things for the camos. What's your thoughts on that?
It was, so I looked back at it. It takes now roughly like about a month to get like the mastery camo, give or take. Probably get it a little bit sooner. That's at least like for me, it's like a month and a half at the most, depending on how serious I am about it. I went back, I looked at Black Ops 4. I did all of Dark Matter in I think 12 days. It was just so much more of a streamlined process. You get your 100 headshots, and then you unlock your 5 challenges.
Retention, baby.
And then you're done. And it was so much. I don't know if it was like more fun, but like I remember getting guns gold before even maxing their levels out. And because like there's a couple weapons that I had on Black Ops 4 where like I didn't even hit the max level, and I was able to have it gold already. But I definitely think the camo grind now is like what Chop would say, is it's aimed for just player retention to keep you on the game. And there's a lot of like dumb challenge. Like Modern Warfare 3 has like the one where, what is it? It's like it's like an LMG, and you have to kill people with the same magazine constantly. And I remember I was on Rust Hardcore sitting on the top, and I was just spraying and spinning in circles, just waiting because like nobody was spawning. And, like I saw TikToks of like, you're on the challenge where you get 3 kills with 1 magazine without stopping, and it's just an LMG of a guy walking around just holding his gun down, not even like really playing the game.
Yeah.
So I definitely think older camo grinds were more casual friendly, and I think they were just like more fun because it didn't feel like a job. It didn't feel like a chore.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you weren't hopping on, be like, I'm gonna like. I have friends who they start the camo grind and they stop halfway through because they're like, oh, this is just too much. I don't know how you do it, and I'm just like, well, it's my job. I'm making content. Like
Yeah.
it's what I enjoy doing. Whereas going back and you just got to get to level 55 and then do all the headshots.
I missed that so much. Now it's like you're propped up against the wall, you're laying down, you got to reload after you kill somebody, the damage thing. I'm just like,
yeah,
I don't want to even think about that. I just want to get my headshots. And I told Chop this the other day. I was like, it actually kind of improved my gameplay because I was always aiming for headshots. So it was like I was getting better at the game on top of getting camo. So two more quick ones. If you can bring back one thing from older CODs, what would you bring back?
Jetpacks.
Okay. Give me one more, just because we kind of it's a Black Ops 3 thing at this point. Where give me one more.
Specialist.
Yeah. So there's two things. So if we're talking about just like actual gameplay stuff, I personally like specialists and jetpacks. I mean, granted, like another Black Ops 3 thing. But I thought having that, although like a lot of them were cheese, like in Black Ops 4, the Prophet drone that would come around and shock you, I thought that was cheese. I've died off of streaks and nukes before doing that. But they also, like, I remember there's also a big meme with Black Ops 4 with Reaper's Scythe. The amount of like YouTubers, and I was guilty of this, that would do like class setups. We'd be like, oh, this weapon's overpowered. Get 10 kills with the weapon, and then we get 20 kills with our Reaper Scythe. And so I think like specialists in that regard, but this is another Black Ops 3 thing.
No,
I think mod tools. I think every Call of Duty needs mod tools.
I mean, it's the game's good, so why not copy it?
Like,
you know, it's not.
It needs mod tools because, like, I think if
custom zombie map lovers,
that's the biggest thing is the custom zombies map, and I think the community, as I love what Call of Duty does. I think the community most of the time makes better things than what the actual game like devs have made, because the community, they're doing it like, I'm not saying the devs aren't doing it from passion, but like the gamers are truly doing it. They're like, I want to make this map because I want to play it and I want to share it with people. And I don't really see like it's a negative thing for the developers, because it's like, unless they care too much about being like shown up by people who aren't like working, I just think having the mod tools would be huge again. Just being able to make custom maps. Like Halo Forge was amazing. Like most of my favorite memories growing up was going on Halo 3 and hopping on and like getting in like the boxing ring with like the gravity hammer and trying to like go up against my friends, or I think it was called like Duck Hunt or something.
Yeah,
where,
Duck Hunt.
You'd have like the
you
sniper.
Ever play Fat
like,
Kid?
Yeah, like that type of stuff. Like bring those things back. Like, let us make custom maps and like
community-driven content.
I mean, Fortnite's the same way.
Yeah,
like
every game seems to be doing it, but Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and like they only did it on Black Ops 3, and I will say Black Ops 3 is probably still highly sold on Steam purely because people are buying it for the mod tools for zombies. I feel like most people that play it on PC are doing it for the zombies, and like if people are still coming back almost a decade later to buy your game because they want to mod their zombies, like. It needs to be something that just should be in every game.
Yeah,
I totally
agree.
Not
every game, but at least like every Treyarch game.
I totally agree. And then you might have kind of answered this, but one thing you'd remove from Call of Duty completely, never to come back again.
I want to go back to the original matchmaking.
Man.
like the original matchmaking. I think I saw X Defiant made a statement about it. They're saying how like their matchmaking, there is no skill base. And I always see like the argument of like skill-based matchmaking, you just don't want to play people that's like better than you. Like I was a little kid getting shit on just like everybody else who like I eventually got better and was shitting on. I was that little kid going off. Like my dad pulled me off of his account because he said I was making his KD go negative back in COD 4.
I love that.
Like,
I love that.
I was bad.
We need more of that.
Everybody has to suck at some point. Some people are naturals and they'll just pick it up and they'll be good. But I don't think like the amount of times I'll sit there and my ping is at like a 90.
Yeah.
And I pay for really good internet, but because Call of Duty's matchmaking wants to put this crazy thing in, like I have to play against like It's even like in ranked play, it's crazy. Like ranked play is where it should be, but like I'll be in like silver and like gold lobbies, and I'm versing people with iridescent calling cards, like off the rip, and I'm just like, okay, so they just took a break and they just didn't play, but they're iridescent, or just because the ranking system in Modern Warfare 3 rank doesn't make any sense, because I was one time a bronze playing against a platinum. I'm like, how do I span that many rank gaps? Because it's like bronze, silver, gold, platinum.
Sometimes you're not even allowed to play together if you're on the same team, right? Like if you would have invited them and said, "Hey, come play," they've been like, "Nah, y'all are too far away."
Yeah, it was either like that or silver going into platinum. But still, I feel like that, like that's obviously just the skill base trying to grab like whatever they think is going to be like the good match. Where it's like, if you're a bronze player, like there's nothing wrong with that, because everybody starts somewhere. But like, if you're a silver player, gold player, whatever, like that's how it is. But when it comes to pubs, it should just be whatever is your best internet connection. Everybody in the lobby should have a good connection to the game, and that be it. Like, just throw us in there. Like, because I personally love also too when I know there's one guy on the other team that can absolutely rock my shit, and I'm trying to either avoid him or outgun him.
Yeah.
And like that builds that like rivalry where it's not
storyline.
Okay, I got a 6-man party that are all using rivals and MCWs that instead of playing ranked, they're just coming to pubs to come play ranked.
Yeah.
And so I would probably say like, probably like just a skill base. Like it's bring it back to how like Call of Duty used to be.
Fun
with like just the matchmaking. Like
bring back fun.
Bring back fun in Call of Duty.
It's just the skill base. Just the main thing too is just when I play with friends. Like I'll play with my girlfriend sometimes. She recently got into Call of Duty and or like got back into it. And she loves playing S&D. I'll watch her play by herself. She's getting like 12, 13, 14 kills sometimes. And then she hops in with us and she's like, "Sorry, I'm not getting any kills." Like blah blah. And I'm just like, it's not your fault. Like you're playing with 3 people who are like I think right now I'm like Diamond 2 or 3 on ranked, and I barely play it. And I'm like, you're playing with people who are like a lot better than you, and the matchmaking is skewing it because they think that we're all good, and so they're putting us in these harder lobbies. Whereas like just if I match up against like a 6-man, like the amount of times in Black Ops 3 I matched against a 6-man party that was really good and they demolished me, it happens. It's not like every game is going to be the easiest, freest bot lobby of all time. It's just now it's like, okay, you can guarantee 80-90% of your games you might as well just be queuing ranked play so you can actually see your rank.
We've been talking a lot about this. I won't go in the whole spiel, but me and Tdawg were talking about like I have my opinion on skill-based matchmaking where like I think to summarize it, I think it's not the existence of SBMM that's the problem. It's like the game that's being overlaid on, because in my opinion, Call of Duty like fundamentally is about like doing well and getting kills. Like, kill streaks are prime example of that. That's part of the game. Whereas like, I was telling him, you take a game like chess, or I play a lot of Smash Brothers, and that game is boring as hell if you're playing with people who aren't as good as you. You want to play somebody who's slightly better, because that's when you feel the most engaged, like and that's where the fun of that game is to be found. Same thing with like chess, a grandmaster doesn't want to sit down with somebody who's never played chess before.
Exactly.
Neither person would have fun. Call of Duty isn't really like that exactly. I think it's a different kind of game. And it's not that, and to your point, it's not that oh, you just don't want to play against people your skill level. It's like, no, it's just that it's such a dumb argument. And it's like, no, that's not really the case. It's just that this game isn't built for that kind of rigorous matchmaking. Like that's not where the core of the game fundamentally is fun at, is to be found. It's just the nature of the game is very different. So like, I think that's where we get tripped up a bit on SBMM, is like, not that I don't want to play against people that are my skill level. It's just that I like a batch of different gradient skill where like a storyline and a different experience can develop game to game, versus like, again, everybody's cookie cutter, same guns, same play style and whatnot.
Like the like post or pre SBMM, like a lot of the times like I'd be running around the map, I'd pick up a gun from either somebody that I'm like, I'm glad he was smart and had a good gun because I ran out of ammo, or I'd pick up a gun and this dude's rocking the sniper scope on an AR, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
And it's like you have that mix in there, and like now it's like I can almost guarantee like I can find an MCW rival or whatever on the ground at some point.
Your exact build too.
Same gun
Your exact build.
Yeah.
Chop, do you got anything else?
I think that's it for me. All the things I want to talk about, we covered in great detail.
Awesome.
Man, I really appreciate you coming on. That was great.
I appreciate you guys having me. It was awesome.
First ever guest, and honestly, probably our longest podcast ever as well. So it's a double whammy. No, I love it. I didn't know how guest wise we'll kind of play with it in future, but how long we go. But I felt like the conversation was easy, to be honest.
Oh yeah. No,
so, you guys can let us know in the comments what you think if you like these longer episodes. I think they're gonna tend to run longer with people on anyways, which is not a problem. But I mean, for being our first guest, like I think this was excellent. We really do appreciate your time, and I think a lot of people are going to be stoked to hear from you on here and everything. And anything else you want to leave us with?
I can think. Now that I can think so, like and subscribe. You guys. I'm trying to see.
Yeah. Who knows where that button,
I don't know.
You're in the middle. You're in the middle.
On your left, right? Yeah.
This way, yeah.
But no, y'all can check out Dysmo. We'll have his stuff like linked to everything down below. Y'all can go support his stuff. And if you have any suggestions of who you maybe want to see on the podcast in the future, y'all can let us know too. And
the good news is Dysmo is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. This is a podcast exclusive. He is not gone forever. He is back.
Oh, yeah.
Although the title might be Dysmo is retiring ?
I mean, go for that. I mean, by the time you have this up, the video is probably going to be live. I have my video ready to go.
Sweet.
I'm just hesitant if I want to post it today or like wait, but it should be live by the time.
Cool. Well, it's good to have you back, man, because I really did enjoy watching the content. So I'm excited to.
I have no set schedule yet, so it's not going to be like as frequent, but I don't want to disappear again for 3 months.
Yeah. Well, I honestly don't blame you a little bit, to be honest. So
I get it, but it's good to have you back, bro.
I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you all for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, we did hit 100 reviews, so thank you very much for that. If you can review on Apple, we'd appreciate it. And like the video, subscribe, let us know who you want to see next. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bravo 6. Going dark.